Hey, Rebecca, can you hear me?
I can.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? I can't see you though.
Oh, you know what? I have to put my video on.
Oh,
Hi,
hi.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I ended somebody else's meeting.
Oh,
But you know what? They weren't supposed to be on, so I don't care.
right. Yeah.
I've had more hard luck trying to schedule these meetings. It's a pain in the ass. I can see why Bobby Joe quit.
I know. And I knew about why she quit, and I'm still here.
Thank you. Just remember, it's much easier just being a member.
Yeah, right.
I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can. Hi, Ellen.
Okay. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
Good, thanks. I have computer issues, so I'm on an iPad. I haven't used it before, just a little tablet. So I haven't used that before, so we'll see how that goes. I don't know if you can see me or just hear me.
You just hear you. Is your camera, is your video off?
Maybe. I'll work on it, but anyway, yeah.
Hey, Courtney, if you want to unmute yourself.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm Courtney Lewis from MAPC. How's everyone doing?
Good. How are you?
Good, good.
Welcome. Nancy, are you on?
I am. Now I'm here.
Oh, good. Hi
Hi.
there. And Courtney, do you know, is Ralph joining us? Oh, here he is.
Yes.
Hi, Ralph.
Hi.
Can you make me a co-host? I have a quick presentation when it comes time that I would want to be able to share my screen.
Okay. How do I do that?
If you click down in the, down below, if you click participants, it should bring up a panel and you go up by my name and click more.
Okay.
Yep,
I can do that. Sorry, a little rusty on this. Well, we're waiting for one more person, but I think maybe we should start so we don't hold up everybody. So Rebecca, the first order of business is actually, we had minutes that Margaret circulated earlier. Nancy or Ellen, I don't know if you had a chance to review them.
Yes,
Have any comments?
look fine to me.
Ellen, how about you?
Sorry, I had to step away for a minute. What's the question?
Did you see the minutes that Margaret circulated earlier?
Yes, I did a speed read of them. They looked good with that.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
Nancy, you want a second?
Nancy seconds.
All in favor? Rebecca, you can vote if you want.
Oh, okay.
Rebecca, actually, I'll get to you in a minute, but okay, all in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Ellen, I.
Hi.
Okay, great. So I want to introduce Nancy and Ellen. I want to introduce to Rebecca Durgan, who's our newest member after months of trying to get a member. So thank you for volunteering, Rebecca. And then the luck of getting appointed, which took forever. You want to just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. I'm looking forward to working with you and learning more about the process. And I think most of you probably know me, but I grew up in Nahant and I'm just excited to be part of this.
You live close to one of the main open spaces that we have.
Yes, I live right on Gardner Road, like on the corner across from the Army houses.
So
So,
right near Bailey's Hill. And
yep.
have you been walking the Heritage Trail much with your dog?
Yes, every day. I was up there today watching the waves crash over into the golf course. So after reading the report that you sent over, it was more interesting kind of looking at all the different marshland and kind of knowing more about it. So yeah.
Great. Yeah, I had sent to Rebecca, just to Nancy, to bring you and Ellen up to speed. I had sent her the draft of, actually, Ralph, what you've seen. Courtney, I don't know if you've had a chance to see it, of the draft of the narrative for the open space plan. So, so she can get up to speed on that.
Great.
Well, welcome. We look forward to having you.
Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you.
And now Courtney, do you want me to share my screen now? I was going to introduce Courtney and Ralph. We've met Ralph before. Courtney, you're new to this, so welcome. I don't know if you guys want to say anything or if you want me to just go ahead and share my screen now.
Oh, well, I had put together a presentation. Did you have something already
Nope.
prepared to present?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, so I will share my screen.
Okay.
It says host disabled participant screen share.
Yeah, and when I go into more, I can't do it.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh, no, I just made you a host.
Okay. Let's.
Oh, hey, Margaret.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm late.
Hi, Mark.
Okay, that worked.
And hi, Rebecca. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yep.
See the presentation? All right. Good evening. My name is Courtney Lewis. I'm a regional planner in the land use department at the Metropolitan Area Planning Council, MAPC for short. I am also joined this evening by my colleague Ralph Wilmer. We are the MAPC is the regional planning agency for Greater Boston. We serve and provide technical assistance to 101 cities and towns in the region. I will be leading the town's open space and recreation plan 2021 update, and will be assisted and advised by Ralph as well. Ralph, I don't know if you want to quickly introduce yourself.
Sure. So my name's Ralph Wilmer. I'm a principal planner with MAPC, as well as the manager of our technical assistance program. I've done a number of open space and rec plans over the years, and I generally supervise the open space and recreation plan work that MAPC does. Courtney has worked on several now since he's been with our agency for a couple of years. So you're in good hands with Courtney's work. I'll be participating throughout the process, including the citizen engagement and so on and so forth, and certainly available to address any issues or problems or come up along the way.
All right.
Great.
So, so here's a quick look at tonight's agenda. I thought we could start off by just doing a round of introductions so that I can get to know you all a bit better. So if you wouldn't mind, please state your name and your affiliation. And also, if you wouldn't mind, just also entering that information in the chat, so that way we can save that and kind of have um, a role of everyone present this evening.
Okay, I'll start off. My name is Paula Devereaux. I am the chair of the Open Space and Recreation Plan Committee for the town of Nahant. I'm a practicing lawyer in Boston, and we have been at this now for probably over a year, trying to update our plan when we realized that we needed assistance, especially with public outreach during COVID and with assembling the graphs and tables and maps and plans that we need to attach to it as well. I love the open spaces. I love the Heritage Trail. I walk it a lot with my dog. And I play golf at the golf course. I've sailed at the wharf. I've done a lot. I've gone to all the beaches. So I really do value the open spaces in Nahant, which is why I decided to get involved. You want me to put my name in the chat?
Sure. Yeah. Yep. And your title with the town as well.
Okay.
All right. Who would like to go next?
I'll go next.
All right. Go ahead.
So my name is Nancy Cantelmo. I've lived in Nahant for 34 years. I'm a retired physician. Since retirement, I have worked for Mass Audubon as a field teacher, but that has ceased for a while because of COVID. I am a member on the board of SWIM, which is Safer Waters in Massachusetts, which is an organization that that was formed in 1967 to prevent a big outfall pipe to be going right near Nahant, and now works to preserve the land and the waters around Nahant. I'm also the representative from the Open Space and Recreation Committee to the Community Preservation Committee in town. And I'll write my name in the chat.
All right. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you. Glad to be working with you guys.
I'll go next.
Okay.
I'm Rebecca Durgan. Like I said before, I grew up in Nahant. I'm a resident of Nahant. I also actively enjoy the open space in Nahant. So I'm looking forward to being part of this. And like I said before, this is my first meeting, so.
Okay.
It's very nice to meet you and have you with us, Rebecca. I'm Margaret Alexander. I grew up in Nahant, moved away for a while, and I've been back for several years now. I'm the recorder for our group, so I'm taking minutes for us. And I also serve on the Nahant Green Communities Committee. So I'm really dedicated to doing what I can locally to preserve our open spaces and our healthy environment. I really believe in the maxim to think globally and act locally. So I believe that's what we're doing here.
All right.
This is retired, and I've lived in Nahant for 32 years. Yikes! And love open space. I was on the SWIM board like Nancy, but I retired from that. I think that Nahant has such little open space that we have to value it as highly as we can to protect it. And that was my motivation for joining this committee, to make sure that we keep the open space open and in good condition going forward. Thank you for your assistance.
Okay. All right. And so I think that's everybody. So thank you for that. I'll talk just briefly about like the purpose of the Open Space and Recreation Plan, or OSRP for short. They are reviewed by the Commonwealth's Division of Conservation Services, or DCS, and the plan acts as a 7-year guide or roadmap for the town's open space and recreation priorities. Completion of the plan makes the town of Nahant eligible to apply for grant funding that is offered through the Massachusetts Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs, which is a mouthful, or EOEEA. And these plans follow a standardized format and have to address specific elements. This is a outline of the plan. So the OSRP starts out with a basic summary in section 1. And then section 2 is the introduction, which talks about the purpose of the plan and how the public was engaged throughout the planning process. Section 3 is the community setting. And this section provides a brief history of the town. It talks about development patterns over time, and also provides a demographic analysis of the town. Section 4 is the environmental inventory and analysis. It covers natural resources such as vegetation, soils, water resources, and plant and wildlife habitat. It also highlights any current or future environmental challenges that the town may be facing. Section 5 is the inventory of lands of conservation and recreation interests. And this is a comprehensive list of parks, open space, and recreational facilities in the town. And it's organized based on ownership, use, level of protection, and a few other attributes. Section 6 is the community vision. So what we typically do, especially when a town has a previous plan, if I'm not mistaken, the town of Nahant's last plan was completed in 2008. And so what we do for this section is we, as a starting point, we look at the previous vision, and then based on internal conversations among this committee and input from the community, we decide how the statement should be modified, whether it's something that we could, if there are parts of it that still hold true to the community's vision for its parks and open spaces, and we slightly modify it or update it, or whether it's something that we completely redraft. Section 7 is the analysis of needs, and it's broken up into 3 sections. So we have resource needs, community needs, and then management needs. Resource and community needs, those 2 sections will rely heavily on information gathered from the committee, excuse me, from the community survey, and also public input. And the management needs section will rely on information gathered from different town departments like Public Works and the Recreation Commission, and of course this committee. And it'll we'll also gather information from the Parks and Facilities Tour, which I'll talk about a little later. Section 8 is the goals and objectives, and it basically outlines the goals and objectives. And similar to the community vision, the first step for this section is to review the goals and objectives from the previous plan and determine what's still relevant, what can be modified or discarded. And then section 9 is where we really get into defining future actions, and it's the 7-year action plan. Uh, and with the action plan, we look at what's been accomplished since the last plan and lay out things that we want to accomplish, that the town would like to accomplish in the next 7 years. And then we have section 10, which is public comments and letters of support. The DCS requires that we obtain letters of support from the chair of the Board of Selectmen, the Planning Board, and the Regional Planning Agency, which is MAPC. And Ralph usually authors and authorizes that letter. And then another very important element that's required for the plan is the ADA accessibility self-evaluation, which is an appendix to the plan. This requires visiting town-owned parks and facilities, and looking to see if they are within compliance with within ADA compliance. So there's also, as I said, that the plans are guided by the Open Space and Recreation Planners Workbook. And page 63 of the workbook has a chart that kind of provides additional guidance as to what sections of the plan must be rewritten, and others that just may require some updating. And as a follow-up to this meeting, I will send out a email that also has a physical outline, that has an outline of the plan and kind of addresses responsibilities. So with that, I'll just stop really quickly to see if there are any questions about the plan outline or anything that I just discussed.
So Courtney, I'll start off. We're familiar with the workbook, and we sort of looked at the outline when we were drafting what we've drafted so far for the plan. So we took the 2008 plan and attempted to update it to the best that we could with respect to a lot of these sections. The community vision, we haven't done any real public outreach yet. So the community vision, analysis of needs, goals and objectives, management, and things like that, we couldn't really tackle yet.
Right.
But we've done a lot of the other ones, and we've undertaken an inventory that still needs to be checked by somebody at Town Hall, and that hasn't happened yet.
Okay. All right. And yes, I do have a copy of that draft, and there is some really good content already gathered, and that will definitely be incorporated into the plan.
I have a question. This is Nancy.
Sure.
When we had a preliminary meeting a while ago to discuss this, it was indicated that there was kind of other ideas or concepts or more up-to-date information than was available in the workbook that we had before. But is what you're calling the 2021 workbook that which we used, what's online, or is there stuff that's kind of in between that and we can't exactly get our fingers on?
So I will let Ralph speak to this. Uh, I'll let Ralph speak to this. We had a conversation, but from my understanding, the OSRP workbook is in the process of being updated. But as it stands, we are basing this plan on the existing workbook.
Yeah, the workbook was last updated in 2008. So your prior plan probably doesn't reflect some of the changes that were made in 2008. Not sure exactly timing, but over the years, Division of Conservation Service has wanted to update workbook. And as Courtney mentioned, they are looking to try and do that this winter. I don't know what the timing is, but I don't think it'll affect what's required of Nahant because we're sort of underway. That said, there may be some ideas that come through the update that you may want to incorporate. I think, Nancy, what you might be referring to, and it might refer to, the conversation that we had when I met with your committee in the fall. Over the years, as the Division of Conservation Service has issued its approvals, it has made certain comments that when you read between the lines, they're things that aren't explicitly required in the workbook, but they've been asking for it anyway. So things like addressing climate change to some extent. They don't want a full treatise. You don't have to do a climate resiliency plan, but they want to see something addressing climate related issues in the plan. So there are a number of things along those lines that aren't explicitly written in the workbook, but have been required in updates of plans over the last few years. So, we've seen enough of those conditional approval letters now that we have a pretty good idea as to what we need to include. That said, we almost always get some comments. I don't think I've ever seen a plan that DCS has conditionally approved that was perfect. There's always something that we may have to go back and tweak. But that's part of our scope of work, do that.
Is there any other, you mentioned climate change. Is there any other big category that you can think off the top of your head that's something we need to keep in mind?
I think stormwater's another one, urban forestry. I think they're asking for a little bit.
I was just going to say environmental equity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
what does
yeah,
that
a few
mean?
things along those lines.
What is environmental equity?
It talks a bit about having equal access and equal or equitable access to parks and open spaces, and making sure that no one is excluded from these spaces, regardless of income or race or ability.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I got a question about that. How does it relate to people that aren't citizens of Nahant?
Well, the plan addresses not only town-owned facilities, but also facilities owned by the state, so by DCS, and it with it being a state-owned facility, that's something that provides access to everyone, not just residents of Nahant.
Okay.
So in other words, the park equity issue could be looked at from a user perspective, as Courtney outlined, all ages, abilities, so on and so forth. So just making sure that There are services and programs available for, what some planners say are toddler to 80-year-olds. So the full range of age groups. And also it's somewhat geographic. So Nahant's a very small town, but when you think of some other communities near Nahant, um, you look at where the open spaces are and how people get to them. And the goal that the big goal that has been sort of set by park professionals is that it would be great if everyone was able to access some sort of a park within a 10-minute walk. So environmental equity, park equity, looks at access, proximity of people, where people live to parks and how they access it. Do they walk there? Can they bike there safely if they wanted to? In towns that have mass transit, can they get there by bus or train? So things along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that stuff isn't really applicable to Nahant. I mean, it is applicable, but it's, pretty much anybody in Nahant, has a 5-minute walk to an open space area. If
Right.
that.
And
So,
you're on a peninsula, so,
Right.
you're not served by a whole lot of transit and so on and so forth. So, obviously we will be looking at those issues through that kind of a lens.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked about, one of the issues that Nahant has always had is there's no real parking for anybody that's coming from out of Nahant. So you do have the DCR, Nahant Beach Reservation, where there is public parking. But there isn't really much public parking in Nahant, which is why I was getting to that question. So.
I'm just as a little sidebar, I'm working on something now for bird watchers, along with Linda Pivacek that would we would have to go to the selectmen, and it's already kind of access through the police department, but I'm trying to write something that would be a plan for people from out of town to get to these areas and where they would park and how they would get a parking permit and stuff like that. Is that like something that would be part of this plan, or is it mostly we want to think about the people in the town? Do we have to deal with that issue because people can't park on our streets if you don't have a sticker?
I think
Go ahead, Ralph.
I was going to say, I think it's an issue that, needs to be addressed in the plan. I don't know if there's a right or wrong way to describe it, but it affects access to parks, whether they're local or state run facilities.
Okay.
All right. So, so this is a look at the project timeline. These plans usually, these plans are usually completed over a 6 to 8 month process. Sorry. And this, I will say that the schedule will more than likely change just slightly, especially following this conversation. But throughout the project, we'll have 4 committee meetings. We'll have 2 community forums, which, given current conditions with COVID and the need to socially distance, will take place virtually. We'll have a online community survey. We'll do a parks in town facilities tour to get a better understanding of some of the parks and open spaces in the town. And we'll also look for opportunities to possibly meet with maybe one or two focus groups, depending on the specific needs in the community. So the timeline is broken up into tasks for drafting the plan. We're currently addressing task one, which is the first committee meeting. Um, the next task is collecting and analyzing data for those preliminary chapters of the plan, sections 3, 4, and 5, some of which has been collected and drafted. And that includes the community setting, the environmental inventory, and the inventory of lands, as well as drafts of the required mapping for the plan. We'll then use that information to develop a community survey, which I think should probably launch. Well, we should probably. Well, I think we should probably launch the survey following the first public forum. But I'm also happy to adjust that if it makes sense to the committee to do it earlier as well. And based on the survey results and the first public forum, we'll start to tackle the second half of the plan, sections 6, 7, 8, and 9, which includes the vision, the analysis of needs, the goals and objectives, and the 7-year action plan. We'll have another advisory group meeting and plan for the second forum to get feedback and to have the public help prioritize some of the proposed actions from the action plan. And based on that feedback, we'll make edits to the plan, present the draft to the committees and boards that we would like to get letters of support from, and at the same time submit that draft to the state so that they can do their initial review of the plan and provide us with comments. Once we get those, once we get the feedback uh, um, from the state, we will make edits and then finalize the plan. So I'll just stop to see if there are any questions about the timeline. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. So I just want to talk a bit about uh, this committee and your role, like what our expectation is, and just give you a better idea of what we're hoping to get from this group. So we're hoping that the this OSRP committee will help offer ideas and expertise about local knowledge about parks and open spaces in the town, that you all will report on and provide updates on recent park and open space improvements and land acquisitions, assist with the new 7-year action plan, assist in developing and refining the open space inventory, uh, and also review the project maps and draft sections of the plan, just to make sure that the content is accurate and that it's it accurately reflects what the town uh, would like to propose in the future. So So uh, one important thing that we'll have to do is outreach and public engagement, especially doing a lot of this, carrying out a lot of the plan virtually. So we'll do that using this group, the community survey, the virtual meetings and forums, as well as the stakeholder interviews that I mentioned earlier, and also thinking about the best ways to reach different groups. So whether it's advertising in the newspaper or doing a press release, or whether people gather or hear information by word of mouth, or um, promoting events and the survey on the town website. Um, there some Whether it's like mailing out a flyer, or um, doing something over the radio or through social media. So I thought we could take a moment to kind of think through how some of this uh, engagement would take place. And I've put together a I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste this into the chat so that you all will have access to the link. And I thought we could start to fill this out. And as we get closer to starting to advertise for a lot of the events, we can reference this spreadsheet. Okay, the link. Hold on. Bear with me. Okay. Okay, so there's the link, and I'm going to share my screen again so that we'll all be on the same page. But let me know if you have issues accessing that link.
Can you, Courtney, can you email that to me so I can email it to the committee after, in case we can't get to it?
Sure, sure. Well, this will be, yeah, I will make sure the link is included in the follow-up email to this meeting, but and it's a living document, so you'll be able to edit and add to this in real time. So I've organized, I've created this this worksheet looking at targeted groups, and then I've started to fill it in a bit, along with links to sites that I found on the internet. But I also thought we could take this time to think through the best way, the best outreach method for particular groups, as well as each member of the committee taking responsibility for ensuring that these groups are contacted. And so I've organized it. I've organized it based on targeted groups, so general public, youth in schools, adult and youth sports organizations, seniors, friends of groups or special interest groups, places of worship, or community organizations, environmental conservation and watershed groups, sailing and yacht clubs, and then just any additional groups that we may not be thinking of. So um, would anybody want to does anybody want to start us off?
So let me tell you, so the Nahant Community Center is currently closed. They haven't been open at all for COVID. But it's run by the Nahant Preservation Trust, which is something that you have down further below. So, I mean, that's just a comment right at the top. So I think the outreach to the Nahant Preservation Trust is basically the outreach to the Nahant Community Center.
Okay, but okay, I understand that. But also, if I'm not mistaken, there are a number of organizations that use that physical space.
Correct, and
Correct.
I think you've highlighted most of them down below. So I don't know, it's kind of duplicative.
Okay, but even so, I think the important part, or the point of this activity is, I was hoping that members of this committee may have personal contacts or ties to some of these organizations, or there may be some organizations that I'm not even thinking of that we should add to the list, and we should continue to add and build on this in this worksheet, so that way when it comes time to advertise the survey or advertise the virtual forum, we have somewhere to reference and make sure that we're reaching out to um, everyone that we need to.
So this is Ellen. Right off the bat, can you hear me?
Sure, yes.
Yeah. Under the sailing and yacht clubs, there's the Nahant Dory Club, which is very tied into the area of sailing and yachts down at the Dory Club and the wharf. And then there's youth sailing program, the Nahant sailing program. So I think those two would be good under sailing and yacht club. I do have interaction with both of those, so I'd be happy to, foster that connection.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Ellen. I am putting you down for that.
And I guess I would say friends of groups and special interest groups is the garden club, which I think would be connected to open space as well.
Okay. Is it the Nahant Garden Club?
Correct. Oh, I see you have the Nahant sailing program under adult youth sports organization. So
yeah, because that's the way it was organized on the I was quickly pulling things from the town site, but I can reorganize this so that it makes better sense based on the groups. Does anyone have personal ties to the garden club? No.
I'm on the board, so I guess I do. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Some tie.
All right.
I guess I would also add under special interest groups, the Nahant Historical Society, who has contributed already to our report.
Okay.
And a number of us had mentioned safer waters in Massachusetts that I think we should add as a special.
You might want to add them as an environmental group. I think you had environmental groups listed.
Okay. Give me 1 second.
Would the green committee somehow get added onto here? And And I was also thinking of the people, like the Nahant Recreation Association. I guess you've got that, the Recreation Commission. But what about the people who have been working on the report about fixing up of the Short Beach? What are those? What's that group called?
So it's the Municipal Vulnerability Committee that you could list as well under, it's hard for me to see the whole thing, so.
Well, that's why I posted the link. So like you can open this up and everyone can actively add and manipulate this document if you click the link.
Yeah, it wouldn't go for me.
Okay.
Want me to email it to you, Paula?
No, it's not working on the computer because of the Zoom function.
Oh,
Okay. And just to note, we will be referencing both I also look at past plans. So I know the town has done a municipal vulnerability plan and a hazard mitigation plan. So that's information that I'll also reference. You said it was the Municipal Vulnerability Committee?
Committee, yeah.
Okay.
I know in the draft sections that we put together, they're referenced in those sections.
Okay. What about so with youth in school, I also saw some mention of local the local Boy Scout troop 50. I don't know if there's a Girl Scout troop or if anyone has ties or contacts in the on the school committee or tied to the schools at all.
I have a grandson in the school, and I've done some environmental projects with the school. So Nancy would be able to help out with that. And I also have a connection to the Scouts.
Okay. That's great. All right. We'll just spend just a few more minutes on this, and then we'll transition to the next thing, and then but I just wanted to, while we're all together, I just wanted to brainstorm a bit to see if there are certain groups that we should. What about the ADA committee? And it would be great. Yeah, it would really be great to be able to have someone to reach out to from that committee, especially with doing the assessment for the plan.
We don't know if there is one, to be honest with you.
Okay.
There's a person.
There is a person, right? So we need more help than that one person.
Yeah.
And is that person the ADA coordinator for the town?
Yes, in a way.
Okay.
Very limited though.
Okay. All right.
You want to add the places of worship, or we could just do that later?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it later, but
Okay.
if you have some place in mind right now, it would be great to
Yeah, there's
just have it.
two. It's Nahant Village Church and St. Thomas Aquinas Church.
Nahant Village Church, and what's the second?
St. Thomas Aquinas Church. Catholic Church?
All right, hold on. Okay. And does anyone attend those churches or know like a pastor or a parish member?
Margaret and I are both connected to the village church.
Okay.
I can take the Catholic Church.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, I think we're off to a good start. Like I said, I will include this in my follow-up email this group. So feel free to populate this. Not only adding contacts or and taking responsibility for making sure you reach. I will for the most part be drafting most of the things. It's just that I would be relying on you all to use your contact list to push the information out once it's ready. Okay, so let's shift back to the presentation. Um, so I mentioned earlier the parks tour, and this is something that we like to do with every community, and we typically ask that you guys come up with a list of I want to be careful how I word it, but important, interesting, popular parks and recreational facilities for us to help us get a better sense of what's available in town. And we last did one in Manchester, and we did it with the town. They came up with a list of parks and kind of mapped out a mini tour for us, and we did it in separate cars, socially distanced. Um, and given the current weather and everything, my thought was to wait a bit to do the parks and facilities tour uh, for a time when it's slightly warmer and there's less snow, so we can actually really see what's on the ground and get a better sense of um, the physical aspects of these places. Um, but I would like to hear your thoughts on that as well.
Great idea.
Ralph, that sounds okay to kind of
Yeah,
hold off on
because
it.
yeah, I think so because we can do some of the other work, doing the demographic research and starting to work on sections 3, 4, and 5, which time consuming anyway. And then we can do the tour when the weather is better. But the other aspect to that is that, we can maybe knock off some of the ADA assessment work at the same time, which we can't do if it's snow covered.
Right.
Some parks, it's very easy to say it's ADA compliant. If it was recently built or recently upgraded, chances are it's ADA compliant. On the flip side, parks that haven't been touched in a decade or two probably aren't, and we can identify what some needs are. So we might as well try and do that at a time when there isn't a snow cover issue, because it can be a little bit more efficient that way, and especially while we're still trying to, unfortunately, not be.
Okay. So the 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 two important things that we have to do before we can bring this meeting to an end, is we need to set somewhat of a tentative date for the first virtual forum. So I was thinking that it would make sense for that to take place sometime in March. So if we can all quickly just take a peek at our calendars and maybe throw out a few dates that might work. I don't know if there are specific days or nights that work better for the town, because of like a standing town meeting, but we want as many people as possible to be able to attend and participate.
You done many, to your knowledge, has the town conducted any kind of public forum for any project last year or so?
Yeah, the town just did one last week there's a whole controversy about Northeastern expanding in Nahant. The town did a forum on Zoom last Thursday night, featuring lawyers, to talk about what eminent domain means. So that was a big forum that the town did. I don't know how many people were on that forum actually.
What about the timing for that?
It was on a Thursday night at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
So I'm looking at the town calendar, and I can outreach with Tony Barletta to see what if they know. Unfortunately, I don't always know, and even talking to him, we got bumped from our last meeting. So I'm looking at March, and there's not really much on the calendar, but I can outreach with him to see if there's any dates that he know of that might be good for that.
Okay. Okay. So to help narrow it down just a bit, of the committee members here, are there any dates in March that absolutely won't work for you that you know of, or is everybody pretty flexible?
Well, I just know the 4th and the 18th both have selectmen's meetings, so those probably aren't good nights.
Okay.
And I just to loop back, I guess I was muted. It was over 100 people, Paula, at that meeting that you were talking about.
Was it 100? Okay,
Yeah.
over 100.
Yeah.
I can't do the 16th or 17th.
Okay, the 16th, the 17th, the 18th, and the 4th.
And I think we should think about more mid to late March, just to make sure that we have enough time to pull it together and advertise.
Okay. Yeah. Um,
How about the 23rd or the 24th?
I can do both of those dates.
That
One's a
sounds,
Tuesday and one's a Wednesday.
all right, let's keep those as a possibility.
Yes. Does anyone have
Yeah.
objections to those dates?
Both work for me so far.
Okay. And what about time? Should we start earlier in the evening, 6, 6:30, 7? Or do you?
7 probably would be the best
Okay.
time. People get their dinner and get home from, if they are out of town, so.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, Paula will confirm.
Yeah, let me talk. I'll reach out to Tony Barletta.
Yeah, but tentatively we have March 23rd or 24th at 7 p.m.
Right, and this is for a community open space forum.
Yes. And so, so the virtual forum will mirror the format of a traditional forum, a traditional, uh, kind of like a traditional open house, and allow residents to. I'll give like a brief PowerPoint presentation, present some demographic information, highlight a few prominent open spaces in town, and then the second part of that will kind of be, and I will give participants an opportunity to provide feedback on some of the information that's presented, but also pose some questions so that we can get data and information on how to structure things in the plan and better understand priorities. Um,
Can I ask
so,
a question?
sure.
So in the past, there's been kind of like surveys that were handed out that ask specific pointed questions like what's important to you, or which places are important, or why are they important, and stuff like that. Is this going to be specifically asking questions like that and kind of getting like taking a survey, quizzing the people who are there, or is it just general, like hearing open-ended ideas?
It'll be a little bit of both, and we will do the traditional survey. That will be a component of or a kind of an engagement tool, but we'll also have an opportunity. It'll be somewhat of a shortened and more general survey that follows up the live presentation with this initial forum, and then based on the information gathered from the forum, we use that to kind of fine tune the survey that goes out after the forum.
And do you use the typical online things where people can vote yes or no, or do you ask them to fill in specific answers?
Yes, yes. So we do use Qualtrics, which is a survey software, and then and it's a mix of yes and no, or rating or prioritizing questions, but also we allow for opportunities for open-ended questions, so that people can express exactly what it is that they, or make suggestions or recommendations based on whatever it is that we're asking. And I do have a copy of the survey, the draft survey that was already put together, and so it'll be a combination of some of those questions that from that survey, but also some things that will help me as as I'm writing and gathering some of that information for the plan itself. It's an opportunity for me to pose some questions to the public as well.
Thank you. Great.
Is that the draft survey that we just sort of put together last time, or is that from the previous open space plan?
I'm not sure which version was sent over, but and the information that I got, I believe it's the draft survey that you guys recently put together.
Yeah, it
Okay.
is. It is. That's what I sent that over along with the draft of the plan that we had done.
Okay.
I just have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. First question is, are we, with you, going to look at the sites before this meeting? Is that the goal? I know we're waiting on some weather, but
So I plan to, since we're gonna hold off a little while to do the park survey, I plan to use information from the previous plan, but also from the parks master plan that was done, and then just some, you know, looking at certain sites through Google Earth. It'll be kind of a combination of all these things until someone, either I or Ralph, are physically able to go and do the site visits for some of it.
okay. And my second question is the goal of the first meeting just to sort of inform the public of where we're headed with this and then get the feedback?
Right. Yes. Yes. So it's more about just introducing the process, letting them know that this is the OSRP. This is, there will be some kind of uh, introductory information and provided just to give them an idea and a sense of why we're doing this, why it's important to do, and how they can contribute to the plan. But there will also be some initial questions that help us start to frame some of the priorities and goals that will follow, and then we'll get a lot more specific from the survey, using the survey.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right. Okay. So I only have one other thing that I wanted to make sure that I covered before we wrapped up, and that's just setting a date for us to actually meet again. So um, I think it would be a good idea to meet before the forum, to have another internal meeting before the forum, to kind of go through to do a dry run of how the forum will flow the night of, and also give everyone the opportunity to kind of help contribute um, to the night's event. So whether it's I haven't done this with an OSRP just yet, but it may be something we want to try, and it's quite effective. We usually get really good information and feedback from the public, and people feel which is doing smaller breakout rooms following the presentation of the information, and having a few prompting questions to get some discussion going amongst residents and attendees, and so that may be an option. But I might call on a few of you from the committee to act as facilitators. So we'll come up with a set of questions that will be asked in all of the groups, and then those questions will be posed in smaller breakout groups for discussion, and we record and gather that feedback.
Do you have access to a breakout Zoom?
Yes, we will take care of organizing and setting up the Zoom and the links and all that.
Okay, so we don't need to use the towns?
No.
Okay.
And how do you decide on the breakout groups? How does that work? Do you plan that ahead of time or just
Normally it's just we look at the size. We'll have attendance pre-register. So when we send out the link, in order to get the meeting code and the access password, they will have to register. So we get a better sense of how many people to expect. And then based on that number, we determine how many facilitators we may need and how many breakout groups. And we try and do like a even spread so that the groups are not too big, but also not too small, um, to generate good conversation.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. So I think what would be I guess what would be maybe doing, so if we're looking at the 23rd or the 24th, having us meeting a week prior to that, the week prior to that, so the 15th through the 19th, just to kind of go through the setup and answer any questions, make sure we're all on the same page. I think that meeting would be helpful. So is there, so we have to set that date as well.
Should we meet a little earlier so that we can send out and make sure that we get out the word on this? I'm afraid that by meeting the week earlier, it doesn't give us enough time to be able to really do an effective outreach to get people to attend.
Yes, that's a really good point.
How about either the 2nd or the 9th?
I would say the 9th. The only reason I said the week prior was because I feel confident that the content generated for the presentation would be close to being finalized at that point. But we can meet. Yeah, we can do the week of the 2nd or the 9th to kind of talk through our the outreach strategy for that, and also we can do that on the 2nd, because then that gives us 2 weeks to make sure that we're getting the word out prior to the actual event. And I'll make sure I have the flyer ready for that, something that can be just, we need to make sure we have someone who has access to the town website who can post it, and make sure that the links to register and all that can be posted on the town site.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that we have to discuss maybe among ourselves in a separate meeting how to access all these groups, because some of them have, you know, websites or people who we would contact. We could also think of all the social media ways that we reach people in town, which are hugely important.
Yeah, are any of our members, anybody, I'm not on Facebook. Is anybody on the Facebook or any of the Nahant Facebook pages?
I'm family members who are, so.
Does the town have any
No.
any official Facebook
No.
page? Okay. All right.
This is unofficial, and Facebook is hugely popular in Nahant.
Okay. All right. So okay.
Sometimes controversial.
Always.
I will focus on making sure that it's a good, clear message to be shared on these platforms. If you all can try and access the link to the worksheet so that we have everything listed and those fields populated in the meantime, and then when we meet again, we can kind of hammer this out in terms of like how everything gets dispersed and who will take the lead on getting the information to specific groups.
So
That
once you
sounds
send out the link, then we'll all have access to that worksheet so we can play around with that, rearrange it if we want, put in the contact information, who's going to take charge of who's going to contact.
right. And if you so what I've started, yes, once I will send out a follow-up email after this meeting that has all the um a lot of what we discuss. And if um yeah, that has links to everything that we discussed. And in the worksheet, what I've started to do is also not just list the organization or the group name, but also links to their, if they have a website or whatever, that would be really helpful too, to make sure that it's linked in that spreadsheet.
So is the next time we're all meeting with you is on the 2nd? Is that, or possibly the 2nd or the 9th? Is that the plan?
I would say the 2nd or the week of the 2nd, so that way we have a full 2 weeks to get the word out, and I will have the flyer and everything drafted and that content ready and in some type of format to be ready to be sent out.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we need like a printed brochure or anything, given the lack of access to real public, the library's not open, community center's not open, town hall's not open really. So, so that's difficult, but I think by email is probably the best way. Facebook, email is probably the best way of doing things.
But a flyer could be reproduced on those various ways.
Yeah, no, when I say flyer, I meant a digital flyer.
All
Like
right,
it would
okay.
be something that people could visually look at and click or interact
Okay,
with to
right.
be able to access the information.
Right.
And I can find out how to get to the webmaster. I mean, I know who it is, so I'll find out how I can sort of officially, as the chairman of the committee, send things to him that will get posted.
Okay, that sounds good. All right. So the in terms of next steps, like I said, in the meantime, I will be preparing content and the presentation for the virtual public forum. I will also be working on drafting sections 3, 4, and 5 of the plan, and the committee can, although we are pushing it off a bit, your homework is to start to think about to start compiling a list of parks and open spaces that we should tour at a later date, and also populate the outreach spreadsheet so that when we meet again, we'll have a more full list.
When you
Ralph, oh, go ahead.
when you do the tour, how many you want? Like a couple hours? I mean, you can probably see most of Nahant's parks in a few hours, I would think.
Yeah,
Especially driving by.
it's whatever time a member or a town staff can offer, and or if some people don't necessarily feel comfortable with with meeting up and all that, and that's fine. If we just need the list and kind of a general idea of places to check out, and we can kind of take it from there. It'll be great to have other people join in, but it's not necessary. It's more, yeah.
But a couple of hours is a good time frame to think about. Some parks we may get out and walk around, and some are ones that we would just drive to and talk for a couple of minutes and then move on. But I think we'd want to see parks that are heavily used, parks that have been recently renovated, parks that you definitely think need to be upgraded, things along those lines. we don't need to see every little playground or ball field, but if there's something significant about it, we'd want to talk about it.
Probably every little playground and ball field is significant in this small town, but
Well, and that may be true, and we may be able to do it in a couple hours, and that's fine.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, Ralph, do you have anything? Am I missing? I want to make sure I didn't miss anything, but
No, I don't think you missed anything.
okay. All right. Does anyone have any additional questions?
I guess last question, if you don't mind, is that I was working on a spreadsheet of all the open spaces updated from the previous plan, just with as much information as I could put in, but I don't know if that's kind of spinning my wheels, putting the cart before the horse. Should I wait to finish that until we've done all this other stuff?
No, the sooner we can start compiling that information and getting, as much detail and updates as possible, that's great. That gives us more time to um, to just to confirm whatever information, because even using some of the information from Mass GIS, some of that information is outdated or there have been changes. So no, the sooner the better.
Okay,
So that would be great.
all right, I'll keep working on that then. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's nothing more, then that's all I have for this evening. I look forward to working with everyone and getting this thing off the ground. I will, like I said, I will follow up with a detailed information, a detailed email on the information that we discussed tonight, with links and any important next steps.
So can I just ask a question on the mechanics? So the next meeting that we do the week of the March 1st or 2nd, that will be on the town Zoom, because I have to reserve that and go through a process of doing that. And then the forum will be on a link that you guys provide.
Yeah, we can do both. We have enough Zoom accounts to accommodate that. So that's
Yeah.
if it's more of a hassle, and I can do that. I can in the email that I send out, I can include all the Zoom information and all that. If that'll be
Okay, yeah. Let me
Yeah.
just check with the town, because the town only has one Zoom account. So that's why we keep getting bumped. And yeah, so that might be helpful.
Okay. Yeah, that's not a problem. So is everyone, just to confirm, is everyone okay with meeting on the 2nd? Is that the date that works for everyone?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
And 7 o'clock, same time?
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Well, that's it. That's all I have for you guys.
One thing if you get me the Zoom link, because I do have to tell, since we're a public body, subject to the open meeting law, I need to post it. So that would be helpful.
Sure.
Great. Thank you, Courtney. I think this has been great. Thank you so much.
No
Yes.
problem.
Do you think that we could stay after they leave, so that we could just stay on for a minute or two more? The committee?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So Courtney, you got to give it back to me.
All right. Give me 1 second.
Give it up.
I'm town hall
Once he
here.
gets the power, it's hard to rein it in.
All right. You are the host once again.
All right. Great.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Great,
You guys have a
thank you.
great evening.
Courtney, nice to meet you. Thank you.
I'm going to put my contact information in the chat just in case you guys don't have it. Feel free to reach out to me. I can't type and talk at the same time. apparently.
How about some
Uh,
gum?
I am technically I'm on somewhat of a temporary leave, but I am still doing project work. I just say that if you have if there's a delay in me getting back to you via email, I apologize. And I'm also going to share my cell phone number, which may be a easier and quicker way to get in touch with me um, in the meantime. But I will try and get back to you as soon as possible with any emails. So just so you know.
Great, thank you.
All right. All right. Good night.
Bye,
All right,
thank
good
you.
night.
Good night.
That was pretty helpful.
Yep,
It's more
Yep.
than we could do by
exactly.
ourselves. I was just wondering if we should, how we were gonna take that list and flesh it out more and add things, would it make sense that we did it together for a few minutes sometime? Like take it and look at it ourselves and then get together rather than all of us trying to add and subtract and, duplicate and I don't know,
Sure.
what do you think?
It works for me. I don't know, what do people think? Because you're right. I mean, I'll be going in and reorganizing it and then adding stuff, and then other people will be doing that. So
Right.
the
Only-
the problem is we got to post it. I have to post a meeting to do it. So that's the downfall of the open meeting law.
No.
Maybe we can all separately make a list, not actually populating it in the spreadsheet, but make a list and then send it to Paul and decide if we need to have a meeting or if we're duplicating, or what do you think about that?
That
Are we
works.
allowed to have a separate, like a separate Google Doc that we can all edit? Is that allowed?
If you know how to use it.
Well, we should. I mean, we should learn if we don't.
I can start one and send it to you.
Like, can you take the list that he gave us and plop it onto the Google Doc?
Yeah, just that we're not editing his work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's-
So
Yeah.
everyone will need does everyone have a Google account?
Yeah.
Like
I
you
do
need
through
to,
my husband.
Rebecca, do we need to have a Google account to do that? I mean,
I think you do have to have a Google account. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, I have one that.
Yeah,
Margaret,
that might be the only thing with Google.
right. Margaret, do you have a Google account?
Yeah.
And Ellen? And so you can use your husband's, Paul, or you can just
Yep.
make one up yourself, it's no big deal.
Yeah, no. Whenever I do Google Meet, I show up as my husband, so.
Okay.
Which
Yeah,
gives
so
some of
you
my
also-
clients a lot of fun to talk about, so.
Well, maybe we should send our, whatever Google we're gonna use, send it to Rebecca, and then she could take that document, put it together in a Google Doc, and then send it back to us.
Yeah.
Yes,
just send
so
me- yeah.
the problem is we can't all be on emails either under the open meeting law. I mean, I don't
Oh.
think anybody's gonna, tell on us, but it's just, you can't, it's the problem of the open meeting law and working collaboratively as a committee. You can send it to one person or to two people, but once you start sending it to three, that's a majority and that constitutes a meeting. So
But if two
Um,
people met and then sended it to two other people,
that would be fine. And if you want to, if you want to do it 2 and 2, and then you want to send it to me, then I could repopulate his spreadsheet using that.
okay.
Should just individually update his spreadsheet. I think that's the easiest way to do it. He has those pretty broken out categories of where where things go.
Okay, well, that just means it gets to be a lot of work for Paula, taking all of our sheets and putting them together, but if that's,
I don't mind doing that. That's easy for me to do.
okay,
That's sort of what I do for all my clients, so.
I just thought it was like each person can think and put stuff in. Like if I think of something and I look at the spreadsheet, it's not there, I can just put it in. I don't have to send it to
Yeah.
Paula.
right, there may be all different ways to reach, like he was saying, well, we'll get the website of this. Well, to reach, say, the garden club, you wouldn't go to their website if they even have an active one, because they're not that sophisticated kind of. I mean, we'd have to go to the secretary who would then send out the information. Like, don't you think, Ellen, for some things like that?
Yeah, they, believe it or not, they actually have a website.
Right, but do people
but
look at it?
I think, connecting with the actual people is probably the most expedient way. And yeah, so I think each of us who maybe express that we have some knowledge of the workings of certain things, like you with the scouts and things, maybe we can just populate that, and then we can, at the next meeting, decide if what we populated makes sense. Is that, I don't know, maybe.
I don't want to take up their time by us deciding, what's the best way for things, but maybe if we send it to Paula and then she coordinates it all together, and then we can individually each get back to her when she gets our list.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, that works for me.
Okay,
Make a list rather than populate the spreadsheet. Is that what we just concluded?
well,
However you want to do it is fine with me. I mean, it's not, it's Nahant, it's not that big.
right,
So, and he had most of I think he had most of it on there. Just who of us wants to take something, and if we can get any website address or email address for even the chairperson or the secretary or like the most active person for the
right,
group.
but then there's another list of what Facebook accounts we want to stick this on, which is separate from each individual organization. Like, I don't even know them all. Like there's 01908 is one, and I'd have to ask somebody, like Jen McCarthy or somebody who uses those things all the time about what are the best ways to. Do you have a sense, Margaret or Rebecca?
Yeah, I'm in a few of those Facebook groups, and I can make a list.
Okay, that'll be great. Whoever knows those things would be good.
Yeah, you
And
can
I
just
can
add
say
it,
one
you can
vote.
add it to his spreadsheet. You can add that to his spreadsheet. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a whole separate thing, not connected with any one organization.
Right.
There's the Lynn item too, that we might post our meetings at, especially the big community meeting.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to do a press release for the big community one.
Yeah,
A little
But
confused.
the later the better with the Lynn item, because I mean,
yeah. Like,
people will forget,
except that you do have to, he wants people to RSVP.
right?
So, we're not gonna turn anybody away who comes on at the last minute.
Yeah, does anybody have a sense of, do you think the Hanters are gonna be willing to get into focus groups on Zoom?
Nah. I mean, I think there's gonna be such a small bunch of people that, we'll just have to see in a certain way, but I kind of think everybody kind of wants, I don't know, I just don't have a sense that's such a great idea, but we'll see.
What do you, Margaret and Rebecca, what did you guys do that much on Zoom, go into breakout rooms?
I could see a lot of people like voicing their opinion I don't know. I don't even think it would have to be anonymous. Like, I think a lot of people would just voice their opinion, like in a written format, like if there was some sort of survey or like a link they could go to, like and fill out some sort of form and write their comments in. I could see a lot of comments coming from that. But yeah, I don't know how many people would commit, reserve, comment, like make this reservation ahead of time, save the date. I don't know how many people would, I don't know. I'll try to get my friends.
Well, we definitely want, like, not just the old people in town. So, any, between Margaret and Rebecca, people of, we really need to talk it up among groups of people because it's their, it's important for them. They're going to live here for a long time and they have, kids or whatever, that these are important issues too. So we really have to have a wide variety of people at this meeting.
Yeah, and speaking of kids, I think we've talked before about working with the school to get the word out about things like this. So I think that would be really important, especially as you pointed out, Nancy, kids have their whole future, they're going to be
Right.
here when we're really seeing the effects of what's going on now. So
Right. So the school has a newsletter which they send out by email to tell what's going on in the school, and I'm sure they would put this on there. And the same way, maybe the library isn't open, like big open, but they have like a website and a newsletter, so they could help. So there's all these different little ways that we just all got to think about. Okay.
All right, yeah, so when you make the changes, just let me know and then I can coordinate at the end and just, I don't know. I mean, I think if we all make changes, it'll probably be okay.
Yeah,
the
I think it's the
spreadsheet.
same thing as the Google Doc idea. I think that
Yeah,
he won't mind that we edit it. You can see the changes and things like that. So
okay. All right, great.
Sounds good.
All right, thanks, everybody.
So is there a time when we should get this info back to you, Paula? I mean,
Anytime within the next couple of weeks, I think is fine.
okay, great. I mean, yeah, we don't want to wait.
I mean, luckily today's the 2nd, so that's a good
Today's
thing.
the 2nd, right? So I mean, maybe by the 16th or something, if we could
Yeah,
all have it back
exactly.
to her, that would be kind of good.
That's
That
fine.
sound okay?
Yep.
Awesome.
And you're going to send out that link, Paula? I had it in the Zoom, but I'm not sure I'll be able to find it again after this. He's going to send it to you and you'll send it to
Yeah,
us.
and I'll send it out.
I just wanted to add one thing before we go. I know that we have an outstanding application for a community preservation grant for Lodge Park from our committee, but I was reminded by somebody that there's enough applications coming in, and if we as a committee felt we needed to or wanted to submit another application, there was still time, but I wanted to put that out to the group.
Yeah, I was at the meeting since I'm our representative to there, and I was kind of put on the spot, like, so does Open Space want to put in another grant? And it's like, well, we've kind of got this whole thing that now we're focused on, but I mean, that Ellen did most of the work for that, and the question that I was thinking of was, we took one side of Bailey's Hill to look at and try to take away the invasives and then have another time go back and replant. Would it make sense to take another section of Bailey's Hill or another place somewhere else and do the same process for, or should we just leave it at that for right now and maybe go to the next cycle. I don't know.
I personally think we should leave it and go to the next cycle because I just don't, I mean, we're so far behind. The town is really far behind on the tennis courts and the basketball courts at Flash Road. The bids came in too high. So they're not sure what they're going to do about that. We're behind on the CPC grants from last town meeting that didn't appear at town meeting.
So
I
this
pref-
year,
I-
they're all going to appear. Last year's and this year's, they're all going to appear at the town meeting. So,
I'd rather not like go in, I'd rather save the money, to be honest with you, and not
I
spend it just because we have it and wait till we know what we really want to spend it on, which is one of the reasons why we're also doing this plan.
yeah, that's a great idea.
I agree. I agree. And I think the Bailey's Hill one, if we can get that, that would be awesome. And like, be enough for our committee for this year. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds
Great.
great. I just wanted to echo what Ellen said because, you know, both of us got kind of asked, do you want to do more stuff? So, but I think we're going to have to do a lot of work writing this report right now too. So,
Right.
okay.
Right.
Wanted to bring it up. Thank you.
Great. Anything else from anybody?
Did you guys approve the minutes at the
Yes, we
beginning?
did. Thank you. Sorry.
I didn't want to write it if it wasn't true.
Yeah, and we had done an introduction to Rebecca too first, so and then we launched into the MAPC presentation. So I hope they use what we sent them. You know, we did spend a lot of time on that, so we'll see.
Oh, I think they will.
I think they will too.
Yeah, because they don't want to duplicate stuff that took us a lot of work and would take them more work. So,
All right, great.
okay. Good meeting, guys. Thank
All
you.
right, thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.